I was 35 years old, and someone taught me something. He told me something that made me so upset that it changed the trajectory of my life, right? And it was this. The guy who taught it to me was Joey Tabanella, Dr. Joey Tabanella. And he studies neurolinguistics. And another way to relanguage neurolinguistics is hypnotherapy. But another way to relanguage it is neurolinguistics, the study of the language of our mind, the study of the language of the coding or the way we talk to ourselves inside of our minds. You guys remember that, like the voices and how you talk to yourself? That check out? Okay, neurolinguistics. And he told me, so you guys just nodded all the different voices and thoughts of your language in your head. All those voices and thoughts aren't you. Huh? Well, then who am I? You're the person watching all those voices and thoughts. And I was like, oh crap, whoa. Does that resonate with anyone? Right? The difference between like, I'm all the voices and thoughts, I've got multiple, they got opinions, they got styles, they got whatever, and I'm the person watching that. And almost like a radio station that I can turn the dial. I like this, I agree with this one. All those thoughts, those thought forms, I don't even have to agree with them. Who here has ever had something where like blip thought voice goes off in your head and you're like, ooh, I don't even agree with that. What a crazy thought. Like, have you had that experience? Right. And so all the voices and thoughts in my head, that's not me. I'm the person watching it. And now all of a sudden, my thoughts have less control over me because it's like, that's not me. I'm the person watching the whole thing. Here's where it begins to get really powerful. What happens if, let's say I go outside, it's cold out, and I go outside and I'm like, ooh, I'm cold. What did I just do there? I just pressed play on a program that goes, make your body cold. Like I'm literally talking to my body, go, oh my gosh, I am cold. And the body goes, cool, the I am cold program, run it, run the I am cold program. See how that works? It's very simple. Like I think of my finger moves. As a human, I can just thinking about hearing more sharp, and all of a sudden my hearing sharpens. All we have to do as humans, part of our amazing biology, is send our consciousness to a spot and our energy goes there. We focus there, right? So I can make my finger move, right? If I say to myself, I am cold, and my body makes the neurochemicals that actually make me feel more cold, then what happens if I say, oh my gosh, I'm anxious? What did I just do there? I just press play on the program that's like, okay, release all the anxiety hormones and chemicals and neurology, right? I'm literally making myself feel anxious, making myself feel cold. Now it's not immediate, right? I can't just say I feel cold and it's like immediate, but the body floods really, really fast. It's not far off immediate. That's why, has anyone had the experience where they're like, ooh, I feel anxious. Ooh, I'm getting more anxious. Ooh, I'm having a panic attack, and it like spirals. Right? We're literally like, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. So then what can we do about this, right? And if we don't have that first part, the awareness that I'm not the voices and thoughts in my head, I'm the person watching the voices and thoughts, then I don't know better. I'm like, I am cold, I am cold, I'm cold, I am anxious. But if I can be like, cool, the voices are saying I am anxious, I can catch that message, and then reframe it, be like, okay, hold up. I'll take the cold one. It's cold outside. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's cold. I better stay warm. Okay, I'm warming up my body so I can stay, right? Instead of anxiety attack, I'm like, ooh, that's an anxious producing situation. I need to use my tool so I don't get anxious. You see how that's kind of different? I'm catching the thought form. Now, who here has done that? Where you're like, you were saying something negative and you caught it, right? We do that, right? We try to at least, right? But then I think about how many slide through without me catching it. Like, oh, I suck at math. What did I just do? I just pressed the program on, okay, we suck at math, make math harder, we're supposed to suck at it, right? And that was my impersonation of our subconscious talking at her, right? Does this make sense, right? Now, can anyone maybe share something that they might say to themselves? And this is really the definition of a limiting self-belief, if anybody has heard of that term, or a negative limiting belief, right? What's something, you know what I say to myself all the time? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. That's not helpful. What did I just do? Okay, run the tired program. Sure enough, I feel more tired, so I get more coffee. And you see how that loop starts creating itself. So can someone share one? Maybe that's something they naturally say, to themselves that maybe we can catch. Yeah. Is it Eves?
Aves, sorry.
Sorry, Aves.
Yeah, something I feel like all the things that like you've mentioned, like those have definitely like occurred to me as well. But also it's like my brain does this thing where it's like I feel like if I convince myself that I can't do something, then I feel like I can do something. Like it's like if I tell myself I'm not going to do good, then I will do good. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, I can see you almost like trick your mind into it.
Yeah.
It's like almost motivational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, however, that like could go into like, this whole like mental like thinking thing, like, and then I just go off on mental tangents and then I just never end up completing the task. So,
Yeah.
It's
cool.
definitely like, it's like rolling a dice. It's like anything could happen. Like whenever like a thought sparks, like my brain is very unpredictable.
Yeah, right. And that's the cool part is know that journey of your brain that's unpredictable, that's not you. You're the person watching that journey. It's like a rad video. Ooh, go this way, go this way. It's almost like you're playing Sims and you got this character and all that stuff's going on, but that's happening inside the brain of that character rather than like, yo, this is you in your reality, right? Can you feel that little bit of a difference there, which is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Logan, did you want to share?
Yeah, I think one thing I notice a lot, especially in high school, is like I think I hear at least 1 or 5 people say like I'm stressed all the time.
Oh, yes.
And I think that one, there's like kind of this stigma around like who can be the most stressed by taking the most, like the hardest classes and doing the most extracurriculars. And it's like, sometimes I've caught myself where I'm like, I'm not really, I'm overwhelmed. Yeah, sure. But like when I look at it, it's really not that much. Like I've done more before. So I think trying to break away from like the voices of other people influencing your thoughts and making you think things where you're like, no, I'm actually good, like
right.
Not as stressed as I might think I am.
Right. And at some point, like being stressed is almost like aspirational, like, oh, I'm working hard, I'm so stressed, right? It's like
definitely,
right. And we just have to think of like, is that how you want to feel? It comes down to that. If getting to say I'm so stressed is worth it, okay. But if I want to feel good on the side, like I just have to make that choice. Because every time I'm going, I am so stressed, and I still do that as an adult. Oh my goodness, I am so stressed. Yeah, that's a great one, Logan. That's a great one. Could everyone kind of relate to that? Right? So these voices that we're just like, whatever, it's just a voice, it doesn't matter. Oh, it matters. It's talking to your whole system, giving it instructions. So if I'm not aware of it, it's just saying all sorts of stuff all day long, and that is controlling my body and my experience, and I'm not even watching it. So that's the first name of the game, awareness. Watching one's own thoughts is a muscle, right? Who here plays a sport of any kind, right? I'm gonna use an example. I play baseball, right? So to play baseball, if I handed you a baseball bat and and I was like, okay, swing it. And here, I'll show you how to swing it. Okay, good. Okay, you're good. You got it. You got it for life. I'll come back in a week. You'll be awesome. Does it work like that? It doesn't work like that, right? Anything, any muscle, any skill takes practice. Takes practice. And so if you want to get Jedi, if you want to have mind control, if you want to be able to learn all the tools that can make you regulate your emotions, your physiology, like, yo, I want to turn off all the voices in my head. That's a tool we can teach. Make it so you can just nothing in there. And you get so much relief, and then you can think clearer, right? Or being able to regulate how fast your heart is, or how to relieve stress. Either way, name of the game. If you don't have this first tool, awareness, the other stuff really isn't going to work as well, right? If I'm not able to sit and watch my thoughts as the observer of what's going on, and not like, I'm just down in it, oh my gosh, life is crazy. Like, yo, okay, wait, I'm watching the crazy show, but I'm not that. I'm not the experience. I'm the person observing it. So I want us to do a quick little exercise. So however it was that you were able to have writing before, whether it's a piece of paper or on the computer, whatever, we're just gonna nab just a couple. What are a couple negative limiting self-beliefs, and a way we can relanguage it, right? So instead of being like, oh, I suck at math. Okay, I caught myself saying I suck at math. Okay, what could I say instead? I'm only getting better from here.
A lot of the time I play alto saxophone, so a lot of the time I like, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at saxophone. Like, consciously I know that's not true. So a lot of the time I could be like, oh, I'm just surrounded by like a lot of people who like I like it makes me feel worse when I'm surrounded by people like who are talented than me, but like I know I'm just as talented. It's like just like a mind game with myself.
That's a great share. I can totally relate to that. And yeah, you can just be like, oh, cool, I'm getting better. You know, one
Yeah.
thing I found with myself, I heard someone say, comparison is the thief of joy. And it's so true. There's never a point where I'm comparing and good comes from it, ever. And so I think, I mean, you're ahead of schedule to be playing that, you know, alto sax by your age and everything. Like, that's awesome. So one way to, if those voices come in, one way to be like, cool, I'm growing and I'm getting better at it. So what was your other one?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm not doing enough in like regards to like extracurriculars and stuff, but I'm like I can be like, well, I'm doing like enough with what's enough for me. Like I don't need to be like everyone else.
Yeah, comparison. Totally. Thank you, Amanda. Catherine.
Mine's definitely going off what Amanda said because it was kind of the same things. But one of the ones I wrote was just like I'll never be as good at like writing or an instrument or school as them. And then the way I kind of twisted that a little bit is to say there's no need to compare yourself to others because everyone improves and works at their own pace. So, and you're just finding your own personal way to act like that and work like that.
That's really solid. What was your second one?
And then my second one was more like I could be more productive, whether even if I'm like taking a break, it could be like I could be working right now or I could be doing homework. And I think the way that I can change that is to just be like, everybody needs breaks sometimes. And you're doing your own work by taking that break. So doing that doesn't necessarily mean not being productive. You're being productive for yourself.
No doubt. You're absolutely right with that. Okay, cool. Aves, did I say that right?
You did. Mine are very, very similar to Catherine's. I'm a writer and I like am in the process of like, you know, writing scripts and like poetry and stuff like that. And I always tell myself that like when it's like comparison, like I see someone else's work and I'm like, oh, I would have never thought of that. But like something that I'm coming to tell myself is that like art in that sense it's a very patient thing and it takes time and it shouldn't be rushed. And I put myself on a schedule, so I try to rush it. And in that sense, it doesn't turn out as good as I would hope for it to be. So I just feel like my better or like rephrased is just like realizing for myself to like take time with it. Like this stuff takes time for myself to be happy with it. So and just like not focusing on anyone else's work, but focusing on my work.
Telling you, comparison is the thief of joy. Say it once, I'll say it again, like for sure. Oh, you guys are all totally right. I love it. These are great shares. You know, the other thing that comes to mind is if I have a different lens on and I read this literature that inspires me, I can have it inspire me without comparing to it, without judging myself, judging that. Just be like, yo, and I'm talking as a professional creative, right? To just take in that straight, uncut juice of inspiration without that additional lens of judgment or comparison or whatever, and you're on the right track. I love that. And I love that it sounds like you have a really good understanding of your own creative potentialities and how to work with that energy within yourself. And that's really cool to see someone have that kind of awareness of that. Really cool. Reese.
Yeah, again, like one of my big ones was like comparing myself to other people, and especially like kids in my grade or that are also involved in like the same curriculars that I'm involved in. Cause then I just like, I see them and then I'm like, oh, they're doing all of this stuff. And then I tell myself that, oh, I need to do more or I'm not doing enough. But in reality, like I have to like reassure myself that like they're on their own path and like no two people are going in like the exact same direction or going to be participating in the exact same thing. So it's just a matter of like realizing my own potential and like what I'm going to do and like following my path. And like, again, like I'm only 16, like I still have like so much to do in the future. And like where I'm at now is not going to be where I end up. So that's like a huge one for me. And then also like, I think this is like a little bit different than what we were talking about, but I'm really bad with procrastination. So I always tell myself, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. And like, I tell myself it's going to be fine. But like in the back of my head, I kind of know that like, oh, like I have like 3 other things to do tomorrow and it's like just going to keep piling up. So I think I can like reframe that with telling myself I'll do as much as I can now and then I'll finish the rest of it when like first available, but also not like overworking myself or pushing myself to finish something when I know that's like unreasonable.
Awesome self-awareness. Totally. You guys have a lot of awareness, actually. Can any of us maybe possibly think about them and their friend group, right? Where, you know, one of your friends like suffers a bunch because they're not aware. They're like so in their head, so in their emotions, so in the story, and they're just, right? And so that's why what we're doing is important, because you guys have this awareness, and this is what waking up feels like, right? This is, and you know, not a ton of people, but some people, you really look at them, you're like, wow, you unfortunately like are so into your story, there's not the awareness. So you guys have amazing self-awareness. This is really cool. Reese.
I was gonna say that, you know, like what Logan said previously, that I'm so stressed or whatever. And I know that I have been working on college applications, as have all the other seniors. So it's like a constant thing in our minds that we always tell ourselves, oh, we won't finish in time, or we won't have enough time enough time as we want, or like, you know, we won't get into the college that we want to get into, or nothing will go right, or like I won't convey the story that I want to in my application. So I guess a way to rephrase that is like sort of combining what the other Reese said, like, no, if I work on a little bit, you know, steadily every day, then it'll be okay. And also like, you know, remembering that I don't have to change who I am or like try to portray myself in a different light in a way that I think is more palatable for like admissions officers. Just be like, no, if I'm true to myself, and that's the only thing I can sort of, you know, hope for, that they appreciate me for my like own personal authentic experiences. And if they don't, then I have nothing to be ashamed about or like embarrassed about, because it's like you don't have to feel burdened to meet any expectation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Yeah. Cool. Logan.
That's exactly what I wrote too, because for me, I'm very much of like a future thinker. So I think a lot about kind of the end result. And so for me, the college is like, you know, oh, what if I don't get into here? Or, oh, what happens if, you know, I didn't do this, and if that'll affect my application, and just like because of whatever, right? And so I think for me, like Reese said, you know, just kind of taking it one day at a time is really important. But also for me, it's like really using trust the process, and like reminding myself that, you know, I'll end up where I need to be. And like if I didn't get into a certain college, like that probably wasn't the best fit for me anyway. So I think just like having that change in perspective, especially for something as important and like you know, just essential as college, I think that's really, it's hard to change like your view on that. But I think once I get used to it, it's like a lot more refreshing to look at it from that side versus the, you know, constant stress and negativity kind of.
And so I love where you guys are coming from, and you guys actually have great awareness. And who here does have some things that you don't go an entire day with like only positive stuff, just some negative self-talk creeps in at some point, whether it's like, I am so stressed, or just like a negative perspective on things. Do you guys have that experience at all? Right? And it's just natural. It's humanity. No one goes. It's just really humanity, right? And the question is, what are you committed to? Right? Like when that negativity comes up, when the negativity comes up in my head, am I committed to like having the awareness of it and being like, yo, okay, hold up. No, let's reframe that. Like it will turn out exactly how it's supposed to be. Or even a lens of gratitude, instead of like, oh, these college applications are so stressful, to be like, you know what? I'm gonna get to go to college. Like that is just not an option for a lot of people, no matter how smart they are, how good their grades are. And the thing is here's what's so awesome. I only have one consciousness. Here's where that's great. It's almost like a microscope. I only have one consciousness. So whatever I have it projected onto, That's what my magic magnifying mind is seeing, right? So if it's on like the gratitude of like, cool, at least I get to go to college, or you know what, I'm gonna keep it on focus instead of my awareness being on stress, which just drains me. Let me keep that awareness on being focused to knock out as much as I can today, and then we'll pick it up the next day and we'll just keep jamming, right? This conversation doesn't mean nothing unless you pick up the awareness tool when it's happening in real time, and you start getting relief. What happened in my life is I started getting more relief, like, oh dang, like, okay, cool. Instead, when my head's going crazy, I can identify for what it is, I can reframe it. Oh, I feel better. Oh, this is worth doing. This is totally worth doing because it feels better than feeling stressed. But are you committed to catching it and making that change? And if you are, then this is a lot of relief. I get a lot of relief out of having awareness and reframing stuff when it's not positive.
I think the whole like reframing thing you just said, and like kind of taking a lens of gratitude, or like a larger perspective on things, or like a zoomed out perspective, connects to one of my examples, which was about like body image and like growing up. I don't know, everybody struggles with body image, but I think especially too, like in the South Bay, I think it's like a big struggle for kids. But yeah, just taking that lens of like gratitude and like looking yourself in the mirror, like when you have those bad thoughts, and just thinking like, well, I'm healthy, like just the big general things to be grateful for that we take advantage of every day. Like I'm healthy, I can go to school, I can play whatever sport I want to, I can walk down to the beach if I wanted to, just like all that stuff, because it's never ending once you like change your mindset to like grateful. And my other example was just about, it's kind of on a different note, but like I've just through middle school and stuff, like, and as my confidence has gotten stronger, like as I've gotten older, one thing I've noticed in my mindset that's changed is like, if I am struggling with someone socially, or like if someone's mean to me or whatever the case may be, instead of like internalizing that and thinking like, okay, it was my fault, or like even if it was my fault, like I can accept that it was my fault and go from there. But like not thinking that it necessarily reflects all the time on me and my personality and my character. Like it, a lot of times just as a reflection on like what they're going through, or like their character. So just recognizing, obviously, if you've offended someone or something, like it's important to take care of that and take responsibility for that. But if it's just something that's like not called for, or whatever the case may be, like accepting that not everything that happens to you like is a reflection on your character and your personality.
Yeah, right on. And having the awareness of that, right? It's cool because you're taking the conversation to, instead of awareness on the individual and the thoughts on the inside of my head, to awareness of like interpersonal relationships and what's mine and what isn't. That's their problem, not mine. That, not my circus, not my monkeys. Like, I like that. I really, that's awesome. So next, I'm gonna have you guys draw on that sheet of paper, if there is one. If you guys did it on the computer and you don't have a sheet of paper for your notes, then just kind of pay attention, so you can make another one of these on a scratch piece of paper on your own, okay? And we're gonna make as an exercise, hopefully to run for a week, if you guys are open to it. We've done this with all sorts, with like 80 local kids, and all of them, their awareness like up levels in a week by doing this exercise. And all of a sudden they come back and be like, dude, I'm stoked I did that. That is rad. I've got more like Jedi mind control, shall we say. All right. So you're going to make an XY graph like this, where the X axis is the time from the past to the future. So as you can imagine, like the present moment, that's like at the origin, like right at the XY axis where they cross. That's present moment. Going over here to the far right, that's future. And then up at the top is positive thoughts, down at the bottom, negative thoughts, okay? And what we're gonna do together is we're gonna track thoughts. So like just now, I had a thought like, ooh, I'm hungry. Okay, so I am hungry, that's present moment in the center, and maybe a little bit negative, so down, a little bit lower. right? Oh man, I'm so stressed about tomorrow. Okay, so that's in the future, but it's negative. Oh man, I can't wait to do this thing this weekend. That's super fun. Positive future. My experience has been the people that actually do the exercise, you get a ton out of it. You get a ton out of it. And you begin to be a different person because you're no longer stuck in your thoughts. You're totally, with each practice of slide, you're getting further and further being the person watching these things. And if anybody wants to share, this is the perfect time.
I realized like I was like really like negative and like not self-aware, and like I remember I'd get these like mental blocks where like I just literally couldn't, like it was literally like something was stopping me, but like I knew I could just like get myself to like complete whatever I had to do. But like I just like feel like this meeting is like the one of the meetings like that I can relate to the most, because like I don't know, I just like it helped me like hear you like talk about how like I'm just watching like everything that's going on, and like I do have the control over this, like, and I know this, but it's like something like I'm going through a battle in my own head where I don't know, like,
Yeah.
like I can't just like I don't
Can't
know.
can't think your way out of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like an enigma, right? It's like a riddle. I relate. I totally relate to you.
Once you start thinking that way, it's like you can't go back to how like,
No doubt.
and it's
No
really
doubt.
so hard.
But do you feel how there could be a little bit relief where like instead of being in this spin cycle of chaos, this labyrinth, instead I'm like, okay, there's a labyrinth, like, yo, I'm watching this thing. Let me watch this instead of being spun out inside of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then wheel till, hopefully I want to do this more so I can teach some of the tools of what exactly to do when you're in that exact situation. What's the kind of cheat code to get out of it? Right. Totally.
Like also just like going back to the old conversation, like I realized that like I'm like too like hard on myself at times, because like I consistently compare myself to others, which I think is like a terrible thing to do. Because like you don't develop you make your like you base whatever you do off of what other people do. And when you don't do things as well as other people, you get down on yourself. So I think that like one thing I'm going to try to work on is just focusing on myself and not letting what other people do affect me, because once you get affected by that, like it just messes with you mentally, and like you don't think you're good as you don't think you're as good as you can be.
Yeah, totally agree. And it sounds like comparison's coming up a lot. Comparison has come up a lot for me for a ton, and I just nip it in the bud right away. I'm like, as soon as I hear comparisons and I have the awareness to catch it, I'm like, cool. Comparison's the thief of joy. Done with that. End of conversation. That is a line of thinking that is just pointless, does not help me, will not ever help me, has not ever helped anyone, right? So hopefully that sticks. Like once it starts going to that track, be like, boom, and redirect onto something.
I'm feeling good. It was interesting listening to what Rafael had to say.
I just think that it's like it couldn't, like it was like perfect timing, because like I feel like this is what I'm struggling with right now, and like hearing this like is what I needed. So thank you so much.
I just want to say thank you again, because I feel like self-awareness is something I definitely need to work on. And even when like I recognize it, I don't really like listen to it. So I think this will definitely help me like kind of put this into action.
I feel heard.
Thank you, Rafael, for coming too. But I think just going forward, like continuing to prioritize my mental health and like being more understanding with myself. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like I just felt heard, and like I just feel great knowing that people are in my same position, and like they're going through what I'm going through.
I feel like I've reminded myself today how important it is to like not let those inner anxious thoughts control me, and for me to like separate myself from them, because you know those are just like thoughts in that moment. But I know that, you know, if I take a step back, then I'll come to a different conclusion.
I found it really refreshing, especially because like in a time of like self-doubt, especially for myself, I'm really glad that I got like reassured with everything, especially just like realizing that it's just all like mainly in my head and like everything like will be okay.
I just like really like what like we were talking about like acceptance a little bit, and I'm like really excited to hear more about that. I think because like it's just such a big part of like everybody's lives. Like I feel like we all just like look for acceptance in like a bunch of different places, and I would be really excited to hear more about that.
Everyone's kind of said the same. I was gonna say the same words. Like I feel refreshed. I feel very heard. And I'm very grateful for you to have come and spoken to all of us. So thank you again. And I think I've also kind of have a newfound like strength in myself that, you know, it's okay to feel those emotions, but you know, it's also takes a lot of strength to reword them. And so yeah, putting it in action, definitely a new goal for me to work towards.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again. I definitely, it like Sachi said, it definitely came at a really good time, especially like when things in my life right now are really getting into motion and stuff like that. And I just feel like generally like inspired and enlightened, and I just feel really good. So thank you.